What could have brought down Aeroperu Flight 603? The answer to the mystery may be found in the aircraft's black box flight recorder, a puzzle which investigators must solve. The story they uncover is how a simple human error set off a chain of events that ended in tragedy. Lima, Peru. Jorge Chávez International Airport. Aeroperu Flight 603 prepared for takeoff to Santiago, Chile. The plane was a 4-year-old Boeing 757, a state-of-the-art passenger jet known for its reliability and safety. Aeroperu 603 was flown by two of the national airline's best pilots, Captain Eric Schreiber, 58, and First Officer David Fernandez, 42. 61 passengers and 9 crew members were aboard. Most were Chileans on their way home. Others were Peruvian, British, Italian, Spanish, one New Zealander, and other Latin Americans. The Aeroperu 757 was among a new generation of computer-controlled aircraft, in which pilots are trained to rely on a central data system, designed to reduce errors, both mechanical and human. On takeoff, the 757 performed perfectly. Within moments, the pilots received a highly unusual reading. The altimeter indicates the height of the aircraft off the ground. It read 0, though they were obviously flying. The 757 is equipped with 3 altimeters, one for pilot, one for co-pilot, one backup. All 3 were dead. Then they lost another crucial instrument, the airspeed indicator. Aeroperu 603 left the lights of Lima, out towards the Pacific Ocean. With no airspeed or altitude instruments, the pilots were now flying blind. The air traffic controller in Lima maintained contact with the plane, noting its altitude and course. He did not hear when the pilots got a new minor warning. The erratic warnings were being generated by the plane's central computer, but the pilots could not understand why. Then, the dead altimeters sprung to life. Just as suddenly, the altitude readings returned to normal. The moment of calm would be brief. Just 1 minute after takeoff, Captain Schreiber attempted to engage the autopilot to give them time to think. The autopilot requires identical data from 2 of the aircraft's 3 flight control computers. But Schreiber's instrument readings were so different from those of Fernandez, the autopilot disengaged. Then another alert. Mach trim indicates that the plane is not flying in a level position, yet the 757 seemed to be flying normally. Despite confusing warnings and no autopilot, the aircraft was controllable, but he decided to land. The pilots of Aeroperu 603 now made their first attempt at an emergency landing. Puzzled by their problems, they began to suspect that the Aeroperu ground crew had tampered with the aircraft. The pilots did not know that their suspicions were close to the truth. But there was no time to speculate further. Over the dark Pacific Ocean, the pilots could not determine altitude nor speed by sight. They requested that the tower help guide them in. The air traffic controller's computers calculated a correct airspeed by measuring the plane's movement over the ground. But neither the pilots nor the air traffic controller knew that the altitude indicated on the scope was incorrect. It was coming from the plane's erratic computer. Investigators would later discover that Aeroperu 603 was drifting downward, while the altimeters showed them at a near constant 10,000 feet. The passengers were as yet unaware of the drama unfolding in the cockpit. In Lima, the air traffic controller continued to guide Aeroperu 603 back to the ground. With incorrect altitude information being transmitted from the aircraft to the tower, they did not realize that the plane was descending. Then, another warning. Overspeed means the plane is flying too fast. The pilots didn't believe it, but if it was right, the 757 could be torn apart. They were forced to make a decision, to speed up or slow down. If they got it wrong, 70 people would die. 15 minutes had passed since takeoff. First Officer David Fernandez finally realized that the odds were against a safe landing. The stick shaker vibrated violently, indicating that the 757 was going too slow and could fall from the sky. In the battle between man and machine, the deranged 757 was winning. The pilots now had no sense of where they were or how high. They had gradually been descending and were now just 1,000 feet over the sea. Lima Tower, misguided by Aeroperu 603's incorrect transponder, reassured the pilots that they were at 10,000 feet. The pilots had to abandon their attempt at landing. The best hope now was that another aircraft could get airborne and guide the 757 back to the airport. Now the pilots received the most terrifying warning of all. It is called the ground proximity alarm, meaning a collision with the Earth is imminent. Still, the tower told them they were at 10,000 feet. Schreiber turned the aircraft toward the sea, away from a possible collision with a mountain or skyscraper. Suddenly, they realized the awful truth. Aeroperu Flight had crashed. The black box in the Boeing 757 can emit a locator beacon for 30 days before batteries run dead. The US Navy provided underwater remote-operated vehicles to survey the debris field, seeking the black boxes. The wreckage confirmed that the plane went down in one piece. The data recorders were retrieved from the 757. Brought to the surface, the boxes were placed in coolers full of fresh water to keep them from oxidizing. They were taken back to Washington for analysis at the NTSB. The cockpit recorder could offer the evidence investigators sought. Every word spoken by pilots Schreiber and Fernandez, and every unnerving alarm, was recorded on audio tape. The recorded voices were faint, sometimes hard to make out, but the chaos in the cockpit rang through with chilling clarity.